What's up, fellas? Welcome back to another video. Today I got a really special boot review, throwing it back and checking out the Wolverine 1000 mile 1940 boot. And just a little bit of an introduction when everyone gets into heritage boots. I know a couple years back when I bought my first pair of Red Wing boots, the big question was, do I go Red Wing Heritage or do I go Wolverine 1000 mile? And they're kind of put on a pedestal together as like the best heritage boots for guys that both look good and perform extremely well. And so I ended up going with the Iron Rangers, and because I was so happy with the Iron Rangers, I never even really considered going to the Wolverine. I never really tried a pair on even. It's a funny story about how I got them, a classic mensch deal story. So if you want to skip ahead, if you're not interested in the story and how I got them, just skip ahead 2 minutes. I'll try to leave a marker. But I saw them pop up on Nordstrom Rack's website. They do have some Wolverines there. And there was only a few sizes left. They were $180, and I saw there was a size 9, which is my Red Wing size. And I was just thinking about it, and then eventually someone just bought that one pair that was available, and I was like kicking myself, I should have just bought it. So I kept looking, I kept checking every couple days on Nordstrom Rack, and eventually they popped back in my size, in the size 9, so I bought them. And when I got them, of course, they were like a really weird fit. It was like too big and like loose around the ankle. And for $180, I was like, I just don't think I can keep them, although I really did like them. I did a Reddit post about them. I ended up bringing them back to my Nordstrom Rack and returning them in person because I hate to pay that return shipping fee. So I returned them, and that was pretty much the end of it until later on I saw that they were posted again in a size 8.5 and a size 8 on Nordstrom Rack. So I scooped both sizes up because I was like, you know what, for sure, if I get the right size now, I'll just keep them. And when I got them, again, they were both like very strange fit. The 8.5 was like still too big, and then the 8 was like a little snug around the arch. So for $180 again, I was like, screw it, I'll return them. So I went back to my Nordstrom Rack and returned them. Then a few weeks later, I went back to my Nordstrom Rack and I noticed that I believe it was the same ones that I returned because there was really no other pairs there. I found the pair that I returned in a size 8. And they were on sale from $180 down to $120. Plus, it was clear the rack. You guys know I love Nordstrom Rack because they do clear the rack every couple weeks, and it's extra 25% off the clearance. So I'm sorry, this is a long story, but at the end of the day, they were like $90. So for that price, I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll just take them. I'll bite the bullet. A couple weeks ago during quarantine, whatever it was, I was like, you know what, let me crack them out in the summer. These are a little bit of a suede. So I cracked them out, and I really do like them. I've been wearing them around the house a little bit, so I thought we'd just do a review and go into what I think about my first pair of Wolverine 1000 mile boots. Okay, so like I said, this is the Wolverine 1000 mile 1940 boot. It's named after a design that they had in 1940. This mock toe looks really good. I love the leather sole on it. It's kind of like in between a rugged and dressy, and I like to compare it to the Red Wing mock toes I have that have that thick work sole, that foam sole. So this to me is a lot dressier and easier to wear with like business casual outfits. Just some notes about the model itself is that I know it comes in this suede and then also chrome excel leather, this like nice tan color. But those were not available on Nordstrom Rack. I think they're $385 retail, and these are made in the USA. So let's start with the leather. The leather is a waxed Commander leather from CF Stead, I believe it's pronounced. In England, don't kill me if I didn't pronounce that right. But it's really nice leather. It's waxed. It has a waxed finish, so that means that it's going to kind of repel moisture a lot better and be a lot more durable. And it just feels amazing. It has this amazing smell to it. And I remember when I posted on Reddit, people said, even at $180, that getting a boot made out of Commander waxed leather from CF Stead is a great deal. They use in a lot of higher end boots. So I am really, really happy with the leather. It has this like two-tone finish. And this beautiful like golden color. It looks amazing with just blue jeans. I am curious to see how it ages, and I know that some people have Reddit have posted pictures of their boots over like a few years to show how they aged. So like I do with my Red Wing boots, I'd love to do like a 1-year update and see how they age. Let's talk about the sole. So the sole for me really is a star of the show here. It's got this beautiful leather sole that, like I said earlier, does dress up really easily, whereas a big problem I have with my Red Wings is that I can't wear them really to work or wear them in any business casual settings because they're very clunky, and it's just a work sole that to me doesn't really dress up all that easily. So these, I just really love the look of the leather sole, and it just has a really beautiful finish and nice hand feel. Of course, I'm going to scrape this up, but you can see that it has that Goodyear welt stitching all the way around. It's actually it's actually not a 360 welt, it's a 270 welt, which means that it doesn't go all the way around, but it stops around the heel cup. Something worth noteworthy, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference if I ever get to resole them, which I would love to. It's still, completely resolable. Now, one downside about the sole is that there was really no decorative elements to it, and a lot of other boots in this price range, especially made in USA, you'll see like they do some sort of storm welt to like cover the welt up. I know like the Mirrans I have over there have this beautiful storm welt. Even like some of my Beckett Simonon and even Thursday boots, they do like some off color, something decorative to make the boot a little bit more appealing. And I just think in that price range, if I order these straight from the manufacturer for $385, I would expect to see some details in the sole, in that finishing, just to give you that feeling that you're getting something really premium and something that's really special. And I think they just didn't do anything. It's not bad, but again, there's really just nothing super interesting about the sole. I have heard that the sole is extremely durable, even though it's leather, that it holds up really, really well. So again, like I said, I think it's a star show. I think it's really well made. I just would have liked to see some more decorative elements to it. Now, I think the most disappointing feature of the boot is the stitching. So if you look around the 3 rows of stitching, it goes all the way around the boot, much like the Iron Rangers do. They're made on those vintage, I forgot, Puritan sewing machines, which is cool. But this stitching, so there's a few things. One is that people often complain about loose threads. I've seen people complain about it with jeans and boots, and to me, I'm usually the kind of guy who's like, they leave a loose stitch here or there, you can cut it off, you can use a lighter and kind of burn it off. What's the big deal, right, if they just leave the loose threads? But for me, they're kind of everywhere. So even on this boot alone, hopefully you guys can see there's something here, there's one here. If you look at the corner, these are stress points. So this is coming loose there, and also on the other boot, look at this is pretty bad right here. Hopefully you guys can see it. But the thread is really coming loose, and I just think that even if it doesn't affect the performance, it might, honestly, I'm yet to see, but even if it doesn't affect the performance, it's the kind of thing, again, like, I'm hoping that when they manufacture these, they're doing it with care and attention to detail, and to me, showing all these loose threads that they could cut off or reinforce, to me, that would show that extra craftsmanship that I'm looking for in a made-in-USA product at this price range. So aside from the loose stitching, something else I noted is that it's not waxed, and when I see the Red Wing boots that I have, they're using this really thick, sturdy looking and they perform really well, this like super thick thread. And on this one, if you look closely, it's very thin. And in this case, it's just pretty thin, and I don't know if it's gonna fall apart or anything like that, but to me it's, again, just something that they missed the mark. As far as the hardware goes, these have 4 eyelets and then 3 speed hooks. For me, speed hooks are essential because when I'm running late every day, I have to make sure I can get them on and off, so these are great. The tongue is also gusseted, hopefully you guys can see that, which just means that they sew the tongue at the inside of this eyelet area. So that just prevents debris and dust and stuff from going inside the boot, which is just an extra detail that's nice to see on higher end boots. So the insole for me is a bit of a mystery. So it's got this leather pad on the inside, it says Wolverine 1000 mile, very nice, but I'm not sure if there's a cork, and it does kind of feel lighter and thinner than my Red Wing boots, so I honestly do not know how they're going to break in and how it's going to conform to my foot. That is yet to be seen. They are pretty comfortable out of the box, nothing crazy. Red Wings are not comfortable out of the box per se, so the insole has yet to be seen, so stay tuned for a second, a year update review on these to see how they break in. So finally, if you know the mensch, you know that the most important feature of any boot, regardless of how much it costs, what materials are being used, is the fit. Because if they miss the fit, then you're not going to wear the boots, you're not going to be comfortable, they're worthless. So the fit on these is pretty strange. Like I said, most people recommend going with the same size as your Red Wing size, and for me, I'm a 9 in Red Wings, I'm a 10 brannock, so I sized down, and these I went all the way down to an 8. The height of the boot in the vamp is tall, so there's a lot of space between your foot hitting the insole and the top of the boot, so it's a little loose. But in the midsection, in the middle of the boot, like kind of here, the waist of the boot, that's where I feel a lot of snugging, a lot of tugging, and especially around the pressure points, I can feel the eyelets like digging into my foot a little bit. So it is a very strange fit in the beginning, at least, and it kind of does deter the joy I get from wearing them. Like right out of the box, I'm not like, oh my god, I love wearing them. So that is kind of a downside. But again, it's the kind of thing where you really have to give it at least a few weeks or months to really get a good gauge on how well built they are and how the fit is going to be. But out of the box, I'd say that like it's really nothing that I'm like writing home about. Whereas with my Red Wing boots, when I first put on my Iron Rangers, I'm like, boom, they like were so snug, they were perfect. And even though they were stiff on the insole was stiff, over time they got much softer even in a few weeks, and I had no problem with them. Now, one other thing about fit that drives me crazy is that, I do have a little bit of a low instep, so I can't say that this is going to be the same issue for everyone, but I always look at the width. If you saw my video on how boots should fit, I always look at the width of the laces when you put your foot into the boot, and I always say there should be like a knuckle, like about an inch between each side of the laces. That shows you that the boot is snug, but it's also accommodating for your foot size. But now so for me, there's no problem with these. Perfect, I got that inch separation, but as you go up, the collar of the boot ends up overlapping when I tie it like this. So hopefully I'll show you guys pictures, but it kind of overlaps like that. And for me, that's a big problem because it means that my ankle is not well supported. And as a result, my heel is not well secured. And so you end up sliding around. And so what I do on these is that I end up tying the laces around my ankle to get a more secure fit around the heel. And for me, that could be a significant problem. Again, it's the kind of thing that I want to give it a little bit of break in time and see how the leather conforms to my foot. But it's just one of those things that at the end of the day, in a year from now, I have a bunch of boot options. How am I going to choose these, which are, it takes me longer to put them on and they're just not as comfortable? How am I going to choose these over a pair of Red Wing boots that fits me perfectly? Overall, I do love the look of these boots. I think that they're made in the USA. I love to support made in USA products. I think the build quality is there. The sole is great. The leather is great. Like I said, the insole seems like it could be potentially very good. But I do think that there's a lot to be desired by the Wolverine 1000 miles. I would love to try the Evans out. I'm wondering if Nordstrom Rack, these might be factory seconds, even though they're not indicated as such. I'm wondering if that could be a factor. Okay, guys, so that's gonna wrap it up. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this boot. If you think I should check out another pair of Wolverine 1000 miles, maybe the Evans boot should be next. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. And as always, I will see you in the next one.